All right, guys. So this time I'm gonna make a video talking about why, just giving some of the reasons why Georgia could win this game against Alabama in the rematch for the national championship, and it's a possibility of that happening. This is a 50-50 game. It could be a blowout. It could not. It could be a like literally down to the wire overtime type of stuff, just like what happened back in 2017. Who knows? But it is 50-50. And I just want to give some reasons why Georgia could beat the University of Alabama for that national championship game. So one of the reasons why, the first reason being, is that you have to make Alabama run the football. I know. What do you mean make Alabama run the football? That's what we do best, right? Georgia, better than anybody in the nation, knows how to stop the run. They can stop anybody when it comes to the run game. But this might be a game where Kirby Smart has to consider, maybe in a way, Alabama having success in the ground game isn't a very, very bad thing. I always take a look back to the 2018 national championship game where Alabama battled Clemson, and that was a game where Alabama moved the ball at will against Clemson. They moved the ball at will, but when they got to that red zone, it was a different animal. That Clemson defense, as soon as they got to the red zone, was a different animal. It was a different beast. I also take a look at that game because it was a game where Alabama rushed for close to 200 yards rushing against Clemson. That was a game where Josh Jacobs had a decent game. Najee Harris averaged more than 5 yards a carry. Harris was close to averaging. I think Harris actually did average 5 yards per carry. It was one of those games where Alabama seemed on point, but they just couldn't put the ball in the back. They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the end zone. Clemson's defense that day eliminated Alabama for throwing the football using those RPOs. Now, of course, this is a little bit of a different offensive style compared to what we did back in 2018. However, it is something that I think Kirby Smart maybe should consider. What if Alabama does, what if Alabama does have success in the run game? What if we eliminate their passing attack and we make them into a running team? As soon as they get into the red zone, that's when Georgia could become a different animal, a different beast. And that is when Georgia could eliminate the huge plays. Maybe Alabama draining the clock isn't that bad of an idea. Because again, you don't want Alabama having the ball and then they just have these explosive plays through the air and then you have to try to play catch up. You're not playing your style, right? If Alabama runs the ball, really kind of chews the clock out a little bit, I think it plays more into Georgia's game more than I think it does Bama's game. So that's definitely something to consider. Maybe forcing Alabama to do something different, very similarly to how Cincinnati was able to do with Alabama by pretty much eliminating the pass, making Alabama run the football, forcing Alabama to run the football. And even though it worked against Cincinnati, Bama did not score 30 or 40 points like they normally do. They only scored 27 points. And again, a big reason why for that is because I just think because of talent discrepancy, Alabama was just far more better. They were just far more better than Cincinnati was as far as their talent was. And I feel like that is something that was just in Alabama's favor. Maybe Georgia can do the same thing here. We'll see, but that is definitely something to consider because you do not want Bryce Young having a great day. If Bryce Young gets hot, Georgia's not winning this game. So number two thing, you can't make Stetson Bennett throw more than 25 times. You just can't do it. You have to establish, you need to have that balance. Georgia needs to win against Alabama's defensive line in the line of scrimmage, right? It's not like it can't be done because it can be done. We've seen Florida do it. We've seen Arkansas in a way do a really good job running the football against the University of Alabama. Now, of course, they use a lot of KJ Jefferson, but really Florida did a good job. Hell, even LSU did a really good job running the football against the University of Alabama. Now, of course, you could not have that much success, and you could have a Zach Kells-Lotta day, where Zach Kells-Lotta just plays out of his mind. However, I do believe that this is a different Bama secondary compared to what it was against A&M. You don't really see a lot of busted coverages over the last 3 games compared to what you did against A&M. You're really going to have to hope that Alabama has their off game in order for that to happen, and I just don't see it. Now, obviously, you have Brock Bowers, you have Jermaine Burton, you have Kearis Jackson. Seems like he's getting he's starting to find his stride a little bit. George Pickens is getting a little bit more healthier. But how many snaps is George Pickens really going to play, right? Brock Bowers, I think, could be a huge factor. But Jermaine Burton, Jermaine Burton only had 2 or 3 catches this game even? I think another factor is James Cook. James Cook also can be a factor because you can split them out all wide, try to get those favorable matchups. and kind of see what happens, right? You kind of see what you kind of saw what happened there when James Cook was able to get explosive against Michigan. However, Bama did a really good job against James Cook in the receiving game. Even when they matched James Cook out wide, I thought Alabama did a really good job of kind of taking him away from that. So I think Bama's going to have a lot of experience, and I think they would make James Cook that primary game, that primary focus if they do kind of match James White on the outside. So that's definitely something that I think to consider there to kind of change some things up if you're Todd Monken in this Georgia offense. But you don't want Stetson Bennett throwing the football. You don't want him throwing the ball more than 26 times. You want to try to establish a balance there, because if you put the ball in Stetson Bennett's hands, that's what Alabama wants you to do. I think that Alabama is starting to become more of a better pass defense than I think more than their rush defense. And they're top 10 in the country in rush defense, but their passing defense is starting to find a groove. Right, Dallas Turner is really starting to come into his own as a pass rusher. Will Anderson, we all know, is the best player in college football, and not to mention Fedarian Mathis, Timothy Smith, DJ Dale. These are guys that are really finding their groove as far not just as run stuffers, but as pass rushers in the interior. And they also have guys that they can rotate that can also get after the quarterback as well. So you can make an argument that Alabama's defensive line is kind of one of the more versatile defensive line units in the entire country compared to Michigan, where they do one thing good, not great. Besides maybe rushing the passer with those two outside edge rushers, and even Georgia did a really good job of kind of stuffing that. So yeah, take the ball out of Stetson Bennett's hands, try to find that balance, establish that run, and if they can do that, then Georgia could have a huge possibility of winning this football game. I think the number 3 thing that they kind of have to do here, Kirby Smart, man, has to do a better job with game management. He has got to do a better job of game management. Kirby Smart, you can make an argument, lost Georgia the game back in 2017 because of game management. You can make an argument in 2018 he lost the game because of game management. And then obviously he had some other issues in 2020 when Alabama played Georgia. And then even kind of in the SEC championship game, there were some issues with game management when it came to Kirby Smart. So he has got to have his best coaching game, not just getting these players prepared, but simply coaching on the sidelines as far as clock management, game management. He has got to be better than Nick Saban. And that is something that Kirby Smart has struggled with his entire career while facing the University of Alabama. He's got to be better than Nick Saban in that particular area. Saban's a master, but Kirby Smart has been behind Nick Saban for more than a decade. That's a dude that at this point in the stage of his career, Kirby Smart should have that down by now. So game management has to be a huge priority if you are a Georgia fan, or if you're just Kirby Smart in general, right? If you're a Georgia fan, you're thinking about it. But if you're Kirby Smart, you got to think, I have to be better with my game management situations and really try to help my team out in the best situations possible. Number 4 thing is that Brock Bowers has got to have a great game. This is going to be a game where Brock Bowers is going to have a lot of targets. Brock Bowers is going to have a lot of favorable matchups, right? Brian Branch, he's going to have that rematch against. He's going to have that rematch against Jordan Battle. He's going to have that rematch against Henry T and Christian Harris. And Brock Bowers won last time. Georgia's going to have to scheme to try to find ways to get Brock Bowers open, because I guarantee you that Alabama is going to try to find a way to eliminate that dude completely. Now again, his size, his athleticism, and just overall as a player, he's going to be hard to take out of any game plan. But Bama's going to try to do their best. Monken has got to try to find a way to try to scheme and to try to put him in the best situations possible. And I feel like that's something that Todd Monken does know about. And obviously, I think one of my other reasons that, again, getting more receivers more involved, creating that more involved is very, very important, right? Creating that diversity for this game, I think, is huge, right? Jermaine Burton being more involved in the offense, Kyrus Jackson being more involved in the offense, George Pickens being more involved in the offense. And again, they didn't have a lot of catches this game, but they did find some chinks in Michigan's armor in the secondary, and you saw those big explosive plays that they were able to convert. That's something that Stetson Bennett has to do. Now, of course, the offensive line has got to block, but also it's also on Stetson Bennett not to kind of be, if the run department doesn't work, is Stetson Bennett going to try to force the game? So I think it's a lot more up to Stetson Bennett to try to make those plays happen. But if Georgia can find chinks in Alabama's armor in the secondary, and it can be done, but if they can find some chinks in the secondary where they can take advantage of some big explosive plays down the field, then Georgia's going to have an advantage. And it's something that's definitely going to work towards them winning this game against the University of Alabama. But anyway, guys, that's all I got for this video. Those are just some reasons, some things that could help Georgia potentially win the rematch against Alabama. It's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a much better outing compared to the SEC championship game. And I'm honestly really, really excited for it. But if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe. And I will check you guys out later. Of course, I have more live streams lined up for it, so definitely stay tuned for the live streams as I'm going to be reviewing and also going to be bringing you guys on so we can talk more about the national championship game just like how we did last year. It was very, very fun. But anyway, guys, Gen Sports, aka Gen 716. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.